Hey guys, it's Eric here. I'm going to do some serious stuff today. We're going to do some serious talking about several different things. So yesterday, this is the reason why I'm doing this video, is that yesterday I read a tweet on Twitter. Of course I read it on Twitter, where else would I read it? Well, I could have read it on some weird link site, but never mind that. I read this tweet specifically by David Snyder at I am David Snyder. Okay, creatives, question for ya. Why do you create? Is it for the views, the recognition, the love of the craft? Let's talk. And I don't really know why, but I felt intrigued by this tweet. As I said, I have no idea. I've given hints to why I do YouTube and a little bit like what I'd like to achieve and things like that. But I haven't really vocalized openly why I started doing YouTube. There are many reasons, but this is the answer I wrote to David Snyder. Originally, as a type of therapy to handle depression and for the love of games. Interaction with viewers made me feel less lonely. Now, I've made good friends and I want to share my experiences and the love of games. This is true. This is what I felt was the appropriate answer to what David Snyder wrote. So there you go. That's one of the reasons. And I'm going to give some backgrounds now to why I started doing YouTube. Well, one of the reasons. There are many reasons, of course. But one of the main reasons why I started out doing this, and also I have a little bit of a cheat sheet here, because my memory sucks a bit. So I uploaded my first video on the 13th of January 2015. That was a video where I was playing War Thunder with a really subpar recording system and editing software and mic and everything. You know how it is when you start out. I had no idea how to do any of this stuff that I know now. Well, hopefully I've gotten better, I don't know. But that was 3.5 years ago, a bit more than that. 3 years and 9 months since I started doing YouTube videos. And it's like this. We're going to go back in time now. Not too far back, but back in... I can't remember when it was actually. But back when I was at university, college for you American guys out there, I started out studying archaeology because that's what I really love. That's my personal passion, is archaeology and history and all that stuff. So I studied archaeology. I finished my first master's after 2 years. The system was different back then, so don't read too much into it. I'm not a genius, but 2 years I had finished off my first master's degree, and I needed to study additional courses to be able to, take the degree out and have a full finished education. So I started studying anthropology and history of religion, which is also really fascinating because my archaeology studies were based on the Christianization process of Northern Europe and the Crusades and stuff like that. So that's my specialty actually. Churches and the Christianization process and how architecture changed during the early Middle Ages. Boom! Right? It's just me and maybe 2 more professors in, as far as I know, at least Northern Europe that have studied this field. So it's kind of fun. It's a very niched field. But during my studies, I was part of a mentor program who took care of exchange students from all over the world. And I happened to get a girl from another country. And I know what you guys are thinking, but no. Her friend came with her to dare to come to Sweden to study. And I fell in love with her friend. So that's how it started. A few years later, I had finished studies. Back in 2010, I finished my studies and I got a job. Not within my field, but I got a job. And, well, there was a lot of crap going on because I didn't know how work life or professional life was like, so I became burned out rather quickly. So, not that important, but I got burned out. She had to move back to her country to finish up her master's degree so she could find a job and everything, because the outlooks in Sweden weren't that good. They're still not that good if you're from a different country, unless you're an EU citizen, of course. So she moved back. I was lonely, I was burned out, and so I started to looking for a job in her country, and I managed to land a job for the European Union. So off I went. I moved abroad and worked for the European Union, part of the public notices office that handle the publication of all public notices. So that's where I went. Met a lot of lovely people while I was there. And due to a little bit of I wouldn't say it's 100% the reason why I moved, but there were some problems, and I decided to move back to Sweden, mostly because I wasn't allowed to go back and visit my family over Christmas due to the work schedule, because you were supposed to work on Christmas Eve, and in Sweden you celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. For my family, it has always been like the biggest holiday of the years, when the entire family, the entire clan, visit each other and meet up. So it was like once a year I had the opportunity to meet my family, and I wasn't allowed to go, so kind of pissed me off a little bit. So I took the decision to move back to Sweden, and I met my family. We had a wonderful time, and I needed to, get back to business, find a new job, which I did. I found a job in a neighboring city. I hope I'm not boring anyone with the story of my life here or anything. So I got it within the field that I work within, and I started working in another city, and time moved on. About it was like 2 months into my full-time job there. I think it was like late spring, maybe. My dad called me up and told me that my mom had collapsed and she was in the hospital. And when she came out, she was really shocked and just said that I have a cancer. For me, that was kind of a big blow, but on the same time, it's like, well, yeah, cancer today is not that bad. I mean, it's something we can't cure cancer, but we can treat it, and we can usually remove it, and you can continue living without any problems. So, but still, finding out that your mom has cancer, and soon finding out that treatments don't really work, and treatment didn't really work as it should, and they were going to operate, and then suddenly it's like they couldn't remove everything. My mom got a very rare kind of cancer that is very hard to find, and it's spread everywhere. And you have to remember that I still don't live close to my family. I live about 8 or 9 hours car ride, maybe even 10 hours from them. I live about 650 kilometers away from them. So I had to, listen to all the information that my family could give me. And that's when at least me and my dad got closer and closer together. He was very open and very heartfelt with the information he told me about mom's progress. And I spoke to my mother a little bit now and then whenever she had the energy, because with the treatment and everything, like chemo and all the other stuff that you need to go through, you get very tired, you get a little bit scattered minded and everything like that. Before even this happened, when I was back in the university, and before all this horrible stuff happened, I started watching YouTubers. That was like in the early days of YouTubing and Let's Plays and all that stuff. That was like back in the noughts, so to speak. I started watching a guy called Kikoskia. He did Dungeons and Dragons stuff, British guy. I don't even know if he's still active here on YouTube at all. Then I started watching SSO HPKC, Seamus, who was part of a group called Creatures, perhaps? It was like Gassy Mexican, Sly, Kutra, Dan, and some other people. I can't remember anymore. It was so long ago. It's like that's about over a decade ago I watched this stuff. So I had this with me, and it helped me back then too when I was stressed out or feeling sad or anything like that. So I was watching a lot of YouTubers. I was listening to audiobooks also, to distract my mind. Because I was going crazy, being far away, having to work a lot, and all this stuff. By 2014, I had started working in a school really close to where I live, helping people, immigrants, to learn more Swedish, vocational Swedish, to be able to work as caretakers, caregivers, whatever it's called. And stuff like that. And about February, I've been following my mother's progress in the hospital, and I knew that the cancer was terminal in the end. We had a final Christmas together, and that's when I found out that the cancer was terminal. Well, I kind of knew already, deep inside you always know somehow, but you don't want to believe it until you actually get the truth out. So I remember that my father called me. I'm just going to double check this because I might feel like a right twit if I don't say it right, There. I think he called me on the 3rd or 4th of February in 2014 and said that, son, you need to come back home. It's time now. So I told my boss and, got somebody to cover for me while I was gone. And I took my car, and I remember it was so snowy. It was a fucking snowstorm. And I drove, I think I went on like the 5th on a Thursday. Because I thought we would have a bit more time, You gauge things differently when you're in this situation. I remember it was a long-ass drive through. It was February, so it was dark most of the day. There was so much snow. So much snow, and it was pouring down all the time. But I came back home at least. And I saw my mom. She had this... I remember this so well. She had this beautiful silvery hair. She had... As a kid, she got gray-haired when she was like 25 after she gave birth to both me and my sister. And I'm about to start crying now. I have to remember, this is the first time I actually talk about this in public or really voice. Crap, my voice is going. Really talk about it. But as I said, I remember. Excuse me. I need to get some tissues. I did not think I would have this reaction. When I started this recording. So I remember that she had this beautiful silver gray hair and that she was so thin. So thin. Oh, sorry guys, I just need a moment. And I remember she was so shocked to see me. She was, because she was getting really high dosages of morphine and stuff. Anyway, on the 9th, she passed away. I was there, my sister was there, my father was there when she passed. And yeah, it was really hard on me, and I was in shock. I can say that, really, without any problem. I can admit that. I need to move on from this because it makes me cry a lot. Even to this day. It's been 3 years. 4 years, I mean. More than 4 years. And I still, when I look back at it, I start crying, so... You learn something new about yourself each day. I thought I had gotten farther, but... just to put it out there, crying is a normal way to handle grief. No matter if you're a girl or a guy, it doesn't really fucking matter at all. Let it out. I always had problems crying before. Now, look at me, I'm blubbering as hell here. Well, yeah. So, on the 9th, she passed away. And on the 11th, I went back to my home, to the city I live in. I was distraught, yes, I was. I imagine anyone would be after such an appearance. I was very happy that I was able to be there to say goodbye at least, so I'm so grateful about that. Oh shit. Anyways, the very next day I came back, I went back to work. Don't follow my example, but this is so weird how grief and... Shit. Sorry. I'm crying again. It's just so weird how, you know, how you handle grief and shock and everything. I was in shock. I was grieving. So I just went back to work. Because that was the only thing I knew to do. That was the only thing I really had. I am a very introvert person normally. I mean, I feel safe here. This is like a safe space for me in the flat I live in, but also the distance between me and the camera and you and the screen. That's my safe area, which means that I can be extrovert through online. And I believe many people, especially we who hang out online a lot, I believe that's how we do it too. Socialize with people, and I've always been a weird guy. Teased as a kid and all that, so that's why I'm a bit extroverted. No, introverted, I mean, not extroverted. So I went back to work. I was working really hard. I took on more and more jobs, you know, got additional jobs online. Until I was working, maybe, I don't know, I think I was working something about like 80 hours a week, 80 hours plus a week. I went up, I remember, I didn't eat much. I went to work, tried to eat something for lunch, you know, but it was just ashes, nothing tasted anything. And I came back home, tried to eat something. I usually took one of these, or 5 rather, and started working again until I was so tired I could actually fall asleep, because sleep became a really big problem too. And now, you know, hindsight is 2020. I know now that I went into a depression. A really honest depression. I went to church every single lunch, more or less. I lit a candle for my mom. I'm not even a believer, honestly. I'm an agnostic. Let's put it like that. I'm not a Christian or anything. I'm an agnostic. But that's the way I try to handle everything. And I didn't notice, you know, like you slip. It's a slow slide downwards into this. And I was drinking so fucking much, you know. It was a way to take the edge off, to make me fall asleep. But when you drink alcohol, it disturbs your sleep, so it's not a good solution in the end. But I drank a lot of alcohol to help me sleep. That's how I handle it. I spoke with my dad very, very frequently. I have to say, I love that man. We've gotten very, very close over the years since. But in the end, I actually went to a a psychologist. We don't go to psychiatrists here unless you're really, really mental. But I started to get in touch with a psychologist and everything. I was worried about the fact the state of my liver. It means that I had some moments of clarity, at least, to see that I needed help. Not everybody does that. It's rare, but I could see the people, my co-workers could see that I wasn't feeling well. And just a few months after my mom passed and everything, I had gone down this spiral. The girl I mentioned before, we were very close. I had proposed before, complicated shit, but she broke up. She couldn't handle how I was handling everything, so she left. But please don't judge, because today I'm happy. I'm happy the way things ended anyway. But back then I was not happy. I was so pissed off. Understandably. The person you trust most leaves you in this situation, and it was really hard. It fed the downward spiral even more. So that's when I really hit rock bottom and started to really dig myself even further down. But I had the small points of light in my life, without working. Whenever I took a break, I watched people online like Markiplier. I watched Jacksepticeye, and it kind of, brought me back a little bit. That helped. And in all of this crap, I started feeling like, oh shit. I love computer games. I've always have, all the way since the 90s, when my dad bought our first computer. I've loved video games. And even before all this happened, back in the noughts, when I was watching SSOHPKC, the Creatures, and even Kikoski, I was thinking about maybe I should do this myself, but I didn't have the nerve. But I was in such a low place that I felt, fuck it all, I'll just do it. I didn't care what anybody else was doing. Also, you have to understand that due to being an introvert, I didn't really have a social life at all, more or less. I met strangers, I was drunk and I talked to them, stuff like that. But no people who were really close to me. So he's like, I don't give a shit anymore. My self-esteem is so low. It doesn't matter if somebody says, fuck you, go kill yourself, you suck. Anything like that. I wouldn't care. I was already so down. It couldn't bring me any lower than I already was. So that's when I made my first video, War Thunder. And in a way, looking back at it now, I had created a purpose for myself. First of all, it was a therapy for me. Sitting just talking about nothing specific at all, just saying shit, reacting to stuff. And I started liking it more and more. As I said, 13th of January 2015, almost a year after my mom passed. When I came back after the first Christmas without her, it sucked, by the way, and nothing bad towards my family, but emotionally it was really, really hard. She loved Christmas, it was her favorite holiday, because, family and stuff. She was a nurturing kind of woman. So I started doing this, and I also have a big passion for Warhammer, specifically 40k, and I've been in that hobby since like the mid-90s, when it was like the second edition, right before the third edition. So I had read a lot. It's one of the things that helped me learn more English, actually. So I made a video on a game called Chapter Master. That's where it really took off for me. It became very, very popular. It's still my most popular video on the channel to this day. To this very freaking day, it's one of my most popular videos. Some people really liked it, some people didn't care too much about it, so I was a bit nervous about it, but I decided that, well, I've started to feel a bit better. I have these people who seem to like what I do. Sorry, I got a bit burpy. So I decided that, well, fuck it. I'll have a meetup. So 2 years after I had started YouTube, back in 2017, I had my first meetup, let's have a drink and talk about some Warhammer. So I made my own. I wasn't sure anyone would show up. Honestly, I was so nervous about that. I put an announcement video on my channel. I think I had maybe at most 20 followers then, subscribers. I put up a video saying that, hey guys, I'm going to have a little bit of a meetup. Anyone who wants to talk some Warhammer stuff, show up. This is the times. So I made a Google Hangout and I put the link inside for people to follow, and I was so surprised when 3 people showed up to my meetup. One person couldn't chat. His microphone didn't work, but he wrote in the chat at least. And I can't remember. I was so sorry if I forgot anyone else, but I remember 3 people distinctly. And that was Papa Khan, who was... I miss you, Papa Khan, by the way. He was writing because his mic didn't work. And there was a guy, Dan, and another one called Griffin. And we talked, and I have to say, honestly, it had been 2 years then. I thought it was good, but honestly, it was one of the happiest moments in a long time for me to meet like-minded people who enjoyed my content. It really brought me up a lot. It pulled me out a lot, I should say. It pulled me out, and I don't know, I was lyrical. I couldn't imagine that anyone ever would actually care about talking to me and the stuff I like to do. That was really a turning point for me. I don't want to talk too much about my private life. I don't want to talk too much about people I know. I use pseudonyms for these people, just to be clear about that. So I used, no, I didn't use them, but that was my first recognition in a way. Like, reading on a screen is one thing. It might, when you're down, especially when you're down, it doesn't really speak to you in the same way as somebody saying, you know, so you hear it, they're saying, hi. It's basically this, like, hi, I see you. And I see every single one out there. Anyone who... I try to always answer to every single comment I get. And also the thing is that if you write to me, I see you. Just wanted to let you guys know that. I can also say now, after all this time that has passed, that I count both Griffin and Dan as some of my closest friends to this day, and we still play video games together. We play role-playing games together online. I mean, they live in completely different countries, far away from me, but I still get my social interaction that way. And I still do YouTube, but as I said, that was a turning point where I realized that I'm not doing videos just for myself. I'm doing videos for myself and other people. And since then, I've kind of tried to reflect that that whatever content I create is something that people who, well, this is always hard with interaction on channels and everything, but I try to always create content that I know that the people that I interact with wants to see. But at the same time, I wanted to have some meaning to myself. I do a lot of Warhammer games, for example. I do point-and-click games, which not everybody likes, but that's for me. And whenever I do Warhammer or anything else, I do it for you guys. I don't know what to say, but this has been really exhausting. Also, well, yeah, that's the thing, and that's what has made me into a creator, is that I was taking care of a depression, but also seeing that through my depression and people around YouTube appreciating what I do, that's what has brought me forward as a YouTuber and wants me to share even more. This has been a long, really long ramble, and I'm going to continue it, but first I'm going to talk about some other things. I know that people, some of my friends, they like to joke about the fact that I drink a lot of alcohol. It might seem like I do, but in all honesty, I don't. I really don't. And I can't recommend drinking alcohol, especially if you're down. Really not. It doesn't really help. It makes you feel even more shitty than you already are, and it disturbs your sleep. But I drink because it's kind of part of my culture, and when you socialize with people, I've always been taught that you drink some beer. But the thing is that most of the beer that you see me drink on the channel is low alcohol or non-alcoholic. Sometimes I drink these. I'm not supported by anyone. These are very, very low strength alcohol. They really are. Sometimes, of course, I drink stronger stuff, but I usually, whenever I drink and record, whenever you see it, you can see like almost every day I have a video up and you can see me drinking. But that's because I do binge recordings. I do like 10 videos, usually like 4 or 5 videos in one sitting of one game, and I might do another game, and that's when I'm drinking. I drink like once or twice a week due to that. I've been drinking way more before that as a part of my self-medication. Stupid of me, shouldn't have done that. So, but that's it. Actually, I don't drink that much alcohol at all when you think about it. Not even close. My weekly consumption is laughable when I think about it. Is nothing. And another thing that I wanted to take up too is that some people have asked about my name. It's come up several times. Yeah, like I call myself online Erich de Sade, or Erich, depends on how you pronounce it, right? Well, the first part we can ignore that. That's my name. My name is Erich. I just spell it differently. Wherever I am in the world, I spell it differently. But my real name is Erich. It's very anonymous, so you can't even find me, even if you try. De Sade, well, it has nothing to do with the infamous Marquis de Sade. If you don't know who that is, you can just Google it. It's the inventor, or whatever you want to call it, of the term sexual sadism, or just sadism in general, or the term Sade sadism. But it's a really, really poor play on words. De Sade. The Sad. Erich the Sad Boy. That's it. That was the original meaning of the name. I'm Erich and I'm sad. I still am. To this day I'm sad, but that's life, you know. It goes up and down. Sometimes I'm very, very happy. Some days I'm very sad, but I'm not depressed anymore. Or at least I hope not. Going back to what I was talking about, mental health and everything, I was very sad. And just like a month ago, I realized, actually it's 2 months ago now, but I realized that for the first time in so many years, I don't have anxiety when I get out of bed. That is a big thing for me. It has taken me more than 4 years to remove, by YouTubing, talking to specialists, experts, you know, going in therapy and all that, trying to be sociable, working through my problems. This is not done like that. You can't cure something in 5 seconds. There's no pill to cure sadness or anything like that. It only makes it, if you take a pill, it's not to cure, it's, when it comes to sadness, it's to alleviate the strong feelings, so you can actually work on them and make it possible for you to move on and handle your problems. Some people might need it all their lives, but it's taken me 4 years. I didn't use any medication, thank goodness for me. I don't want to use any medication unless I really, really have to. It's taken me 4 years. 5 years probably, because I most likely had anxieties before that, but I had such strong anxiety each and every Sunday and Monday morning. Every single morning it was worse Sunday and Monday, but every single morning before work I had anxiety attacks. And we're talking about real hulking anxiety attacks before going to work. But I still fucking went. That might be because I'm very, very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. To stupidity almost. I've hidden a lot of it from people around me, family and everything, and I'm really sorry about that, but that's my way of handling it. So, but still, when it comes to mental health, you really need to take care, and as I said, it doesn't go over overnight or by taking a pill or anything. You have to face it. You have to work with it, and there are so many professionals out there. There are professionals that might not work with you specifically because we're humans. We are so individual and different how we respond to different kinds of therapy. So you have to have an open mind, because if you don't want to be helped, you reach a point when you want to be helped, you do. But when you're at the point when you don't want to be helped, nobody in this world can help you. It's when you reach the point when you can accept help from a professional, from a friend, a family member, anything, that's when things will start to get better. For me, as I said, it was YouTube, but also the fact that I met a new girl. She's a very important lady in my life. She has also helped me a lot. My dad has helped me a lot, because we have discussed this so many times. Man, it's incredible. He's one of my idols, by the way. And even, sitting down and playing video games with my sister has helped. Anything, all these little things, those little pinpricks in life, small dots of light. Finally, they became a bright light, coalescing into a big light, and that's what's bringing it out. I'm still working with it, as you guys can see. I still cry and blubber when I think back at the memories of everything, and it's still fucking tough to work through it, but that's what you have to do. So even if it's your darkest hour and everything, you should know that there are things that bring you joy. There are plenty of YouTubers. I know there are plenty of YouTubers out there who bring joy. Jacksepticeye has had his PMA lately, and he's been talking about burnout and everything. It's great that these big YouTubers talk about mental health and mental health awareness, because we need to take care of ourselves. Really, we do. I think I've been rambling forever now. How long have I been rambling? Oh, holy shit, 40 minutes? Whew! This will be a long one. Sorry guys for keeping you for so long. I hope you guys found it interesting. I'm sorry, I tend to ramble a lot when I start going, I just love my own voice or something. I don't know why. That's just how I am. I'm not a person who can do it quickly in just a few words. But there you go. That's the story of why I started YouTube and why I continue doing YouTube. I mean, I continually work with myself, but I also work now not for myself only. I work also for the enjoyment for anyone who watches my content. So, with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys appreciated this. I hope you guys appreciated it. I hope it makes you think. As I said, take care of yourselves. Because life is not always fair. Life can be tough. But remember, I know it sounds really stupid, silly, or empty when I say it, but there are people out there. There are people who listen. There are people who want to help you. Don't forget that. You're not alone. So, I'll see you guys. Bye.